internet giant Tencent on Tuesday announced its acquisition of a minority stake in Epic Games.
This is Ma Hetang, also known as Pony Ma, and you've probably never heard of him or the company he runs, Tencent. And there's a reason for that. You see, Tencent's global empire spans the entire world with over $70 billion in known investments. And that doesn't even include its crown jewels, Chinese platforms like WeChat and QQ, worth an estimated $400 to $500 billion.
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
Now, I know you're wondering, why does it matter who Tencent is? Let's take a step back for a second and think about the state of gaming today. You see, we've all watched the slow decline and the rise of things like over-monetization, unfinished releases, and soulless cash grabs. And yeah, we can blame studios like EA and Ubisoft. Let's take a second to think about who's really pulling the strings. You see, behind most bad decisions is usually a shareholder. And while Tencent, they're one of the biggest players in the game. For us to understand how he got here, we first need to understand Tencent's founder, Pony Ma. But I will need to dive a bit into the history, and I promise it won't be boring. But this is very important as it highlights how Tencent started and how it quietly took over the entire world. The year is 1971. This would mark an important year in gaming and world history. The first arcade video game, Computer Space, was created by the same guys who would later create Atari. Intel released the first microprocessor, and the first email was sent. This was also the year China joined the United Nations, reintroducing itself to the global stage. And for this story, most importantly of all, this was the year that Pony Ma was born in, give me a second.
中国广东省汕头市潮阳区。
Yeah, that place. Anyways, they didn't actually live there that long, because during Pony's childhood, his father got a job as a port manager in the newly emerging city of Shenzhen. And this move would really become a defining moment in Ma's life, an inflection point that placed him right at the heart of one of the most radical transformations in economic history. You see, in 1979, the Chinese Communist Party wanted to improve their economy and modernize. So they approved the Shekou Industrial Zone, the first step in cracking open a once closed economy. By the 1980s, Shenzhen was officially China's first Special Economic Zone, or SEZ, an experimental sandbox of capitalism with Chinese characteristics. And from there, the city exploded, going from a sleepy fishing village to a high-rise superpower. By 1990, it had its own stock exchange, and people would even start calling it the Silicon Valley of the East. And in the middle of all this was a young Pony Ma, wide-eyed and curious, and quietly absorbing everything around him. Pony didn't just study computers, he loved them. During his years at Shenzhen University, he would spend long nights writing code, and he would even tinker what would be early primitive networks. According to some reports, he would even hack into school's computer networks, not to cause chaos or destroy anything, just to understand how they work. He was really curious and always had a need to figure out how everything worked. He would break things apart and put them back together, and then he would want to try to figure out all their functions. You could say that he was the perfect CS student. After graduating, Ma got a job with China Motion Telecom Development, writing software for pagers, the peak of mobile technology at the time. Yet even as China buzzed and beeped with pagers, Ma's eyes were already set on the future. While working on telecommunications and messaging, Pony stumbled across something big, ICQ, the world's first internet-based messenger. The impact of ICQ can't be understated. It was like the original Snapchat, Instagram, and WhatsApp before any of those were even thought about. I actually kind of wonder what ICQ stands for. I never really did research on what ICQ stands for. It's probably something like Internet Communication and add a Q because Q is a cool letter. Anyways, if someone finds it, they can put it in the comment section. I'm not really paid enough to do all this research. I'm actually not getting paid at all. Well, speaking of payments, I would like to say his sponsor, Rocket Money, for paying. I'm kidding, I don't have a sponsor yet. But if anybody wants to sponsor me, I'm right here. Anyways, ICQ was a really groundbreaking and fundamental technology that would shape the future. And because of Pony's early discovery, he had an advantage in this respect. The thing that made ICQ especially interesting to Pony was the fact that it was simple to use, addictive, and way ahead of its time. Pony saw this as his golden opportunity. Due to a variety of reasons, ICQ wasn't being used in China, and Ma wanted to fill this gap. So, in 1984, with 4 co-founders and a vision, Ma launched OICQ, short for Open ICQ. Yeah, OICQ started as just a made-in-China clone of ICQ, but it became so much more than that. They had Chinese servers, they had Chinese language support, and they had a growing user base of Chinese users who were hungry for connection. And they quickly blew up. Within just a few months, they had millions of people join the platform. And they went from being just a messaging platform to be the digital lifeline of China's modernizing society. You see, what Pony and his team did was something amazing. They didn't just copy a product, they managed to localize it, they managed to scale it, and eventually they even managed to weaponize it. But OICQ wasn't the end goal. It was just a launch pad. And for Pony, he must have felt unstoppable. It seemed like nothing could take him down. As ICQ's popularity increased, it raised alarms across the Pacific. You see, America Online, ICQ's owners, weren't happy and sued Tencent. AOL sued Tencent, claiming that Tencent had infringed on their intellectual property. This was a huge case. It was your classic David v. Goliath, except this time David had millions of users and was operating in a legal gray zone. The pressure on Pony was intense. He had a real possibility of losing everything he built. So, facing this crisis, he made a bold decision. He let go of everything. The team rebranded OICQ to a new name, QQ. Short, simple, and unmistakably theirs. The name may have changed, but the magic didn't. Behind the scenes, the platform kept evolving, adding features, strengthening its servers, and deepening its grip on China's online life. It became more than just a messenger. It became a digital ecosystem. And Pony Ma? Well, he was just getting started. By the early 2000s, QQ had evolved into a self-contained ecosystem, part chat room, part game lobby, and part digital marketplace. And while Tencent, they discovered something huge. You see, instead of charging their users a subscription for the product, they decided they could make them pay for pixels. Users could buy things like skins for their avatars, digital gifts, and premium emojis. And while these things didn't cost Tencent much money to make, but for the user, it meant a lot. It even meant their online status. Sound familiar? Today it's Fortnite Battle Passes, Discord Nitro, and League skins. But back then, this sort of thing was unheard of in the West. Tencent was printing money off the human desire for self-importance and self-expression. And this wasn't just a gimmick, it was a blueprint for the world we see today. This type of monetization has seeped into the apps, games, and social media that we all use every single day. In 2004, Tencent IPO'd. This IPO didn't just raise capital, it also legitimized Tencent as one of the biggest tech players. This IPO also marked the start of a new era. An era where Tencent would not just connect people, but also control how they played. At the time of Tencent's IPO, China's gaming industry was only getting started. Most popular games came from other places. This led to servers being unstable, piracy being rampant, and there being no clear path to profitability. But Tencent had something no one else did at the time. A massive loyal user base right inside of QQ. So they started small, browser games, casual time killers, built right into QQ. The games were simple, addictive, and most importantly, social. You can challenge your friends, climb leaderboards, flex scores, all without logging out of QQ. And then came the multiplayer games. In 2008, Tencent acquired the rights to Crossfire, a South Korean FPS, and that game really took off. For years, Crossfire out-earned giants like Call of Duty and Battlefield, but this was just one piece in the Tencent puzzle. You see, in 2011, a small internal team will launch a new app called WeChat, initially known as Weijin. WeChat would take China by storm. At first, it was just messaging, but Pony saw it being something bigger. WeChat evolved fast. Voice, video, file sharing, social feeds. By 2013, WeChat Pay. WeChat wasn't just an app, it was the operating system for life in China. And Tencent, well, it wasn't just a tech company anymore. It was the digital spine for modern Chinese society. By the mid-2010s, Tencent had conquered China. But Ma wasn't thinking about just China anymore. He wanted more. More influence, more users, more profit. Or in the words of Ludwig,
Dangerous! Let's up those numbers!
while rivals have chased flashy headlines, Tencent has moved quietly, investing, acquiring, and embedding themselves deep into tech and gaming. Their model is simple. Don't shout, don't trend, own a bit of anything, and control everything in the shadows. In 2011, Tencent made a move that shook the gaming world. It purchased a majority stake in Riot Games, the studio behind League of Legends. By 2015, it owned 100% of Riot, meaning Tencent owned Arcane, the award-winning Netflix series that brought the League of Legends universe to mainstream TV. The industry was stunned. A company known for its chat apps and anime avatars was now the silent power behind one of the biggest esport brands in the entire world. And it didn't just stop there. You see, what followed next would be a corporate side quest that would leave any RPG player envious. Supercell, Digital Extremes, Grinding Gear Games, Epic Games, FromSoft, Craft and Bluehole, Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft. Tencent wasn't just playing the game anymore. They were building the board, stocking the inventory, and crafting the meta. But it wasn't just games. They also put skill points into music as well. Tencent owned parts of Universal Music Group, parts of Spotify, investments in streaming platforms like Bilibili and Kuaiso, and in Hollywood, Tencent Pictures co-produced Wonder Woman, Venom, Top Gun Maverick, all with Chinese backing subtly woven in. So, you may be wondering, what does this have to do with gaming though? Well, remember that blueprint from the days of QQ? The one built on online avatars, virtual status, and an emotional attachment to pixels? Well, that spread everywhere. And Tencent was a major reason why. But it wasn't just Tencent though. You see, studios like EA, Activision, and others were already experimenting with microtransactions. But Tencent, they helped normalize it, scale it, and perfect it. And as Tencent gained influence, they pushed a playbook, prioritizing subscriptions over one-time purchases. Free to play, but pay to flex. Battle passes, loot boxes, gacha, and cosmetic bundles. It wasn't all Tencent's invention, but its presence made these choices harder to ignore. Games stopped being a one-time experience. Instead, they became an ecosystem. Optimized, monetized, and constantly updated. And when you quietly own parts of the biggest players like Riot, Supercell, Epic, Activision, and Ubisoft, you don't need to control every decision. You just need a seat at the table. With great power comes great responsibility and scrutiny. Tencent's vast influence means that they affect what billions of people see, hear, and play every single day. Some tout this as business innovation, saying that Tencent creates digital pipes that connects people and culture. Others raise concerns on the implications of one company having so much power. Concerns around competition, creative control, and censorship continue to rise, especially with Tencent holding a significant stake in Epic Games, the company behind the Epic Games Store, which commands over 20% of the PC market. At a public Q&A, Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney was asked directly whether Tencent ever pressured Epic Games to block games or developers, and how Tencent's involvement might affect free speech and expression. Sweeney's response was firm: "This will never happen on my watch." He doubled down, stressing that Epic is an American company and that freedom of expression is a core value that won't be compromised. Still, many in the gaming community remain skeptical because they know that when profits are on the line, freedom often takes the backseat. So, next time you hop in a 5-stack, queue solo queue, or land tilted, ask yourself, who's really behind the screen? Because while Tencent might not be making the games, they're often the one writing the rules. Hey, welcome to the end of the video. I want to thank you guys for staying all the way to the end. This is a different video from the last one. It's a different style, but let me know if you like it. This is my second video ever. You might have noticed that the editing is a bit different. I kind of put a bit more effort into this editing, just trying a different style. Let me know if you like this style or not. And just, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you know about Tencent before, or if this is all new information to you. And if there's even any other topics that you want me to cover, that'd be really cool. I have some ideas for the next video, but yeah, just let me know what you like. I plan to release videos maybe every 2 weeks, kind of depends on how my life and schedule is going, but I'm gonna try to stay consistent. So maybe every 2 weeks. All right, that's it for me. Peace out. Bye.